Now, Cliff, one of the things that I regret not having the opportunity to do this week is to have sat down at the TV with my young son so that he could hear about the scandal that is 52 times bigger than Watergate and Iran Contra and probably the savings and loan and God knows what other scandals wrapped into one.
Katrina, Iraq. Let's just start going through. I don't know.
I mean,
Go
it's
start going through all of them, right?
Benghazi, Benghazi, Benghazi. This is the scandal. I mean, first off, let's just well, how scandal free must the Obama administration be if they are still harping on Benghazi? I mean, what? Why Benghazi?
Well, I'm still kind of holding them responsible for Teapot Dome myself.
Not sure.
I wish we could get Lindsey Graham to clear that matter up.
But why is it Benghazi? I mean,
it's look. There's a couple reasons, and I think we're discussing a couple topics today that will kind of all go into this. But one is because they're crazy people, which is nothing new to anybody because of what Pat Toomey said about how many people voted against the gun bill just because it was Obama on the other side. They hate Obama.
Right.
He's
Well,
black
that I
Democratic
understand.
dude who's president, and he has no right to be president. He's a fake president, I think, as the new head of the NRA had to say. And this is the view of him on the far right. So there's always got to be it's sort of guilty till proven innocent. There's always something wrong there. The question is, what is he doing?
Right.
It's like, is he out there hanging out with too many white women? I know they're asking themselves that at NRA headquarters.
But look, that's the general. Of course, of course, they're going to want this, and frankly, I anticipated a lot more of this years ago. But
right, well,
when
I'm having fun. I mean, and there's no doubt a lot of it's just pure Obama hatred.
Right.
But there is a strategy here, as weak and pathetic as it is, and it's that polls right now show Hillary Clinton beating the Republican field, including Rick Perry, in Texas in 2016.
Wow.
And winning in a variety of other states by 10 points, by the way, double digit, which in the end won't happen. But if her huge popularity made Texas something that wasn't a 10-point or 12-point win for them, but was something that had to be fought for and they had to waste money there, boy, would that suck, huh? And so they're doing, Karl Rove is involved now. He put out some ad against Hillary. They're trying to weaken her up because they realize that she's a universally, popular person. Put politics aside. I know you and I disagree with her probably on some things, but let's just analyze this, or put policy aside. Let's analyze this from a political standpoint. Right now, if the economy is good going into 2016, there will never, and her health is good. She's had some health issues, and obviously, will be older, although no older than Reagan when he ran. Although that's probably not a good example considering he wasn't sane his whole second term.
Right.
But when you look at all of that, and times can change and things can change in politics. We all know that. But right now, they don't have anybody who could go toe to toe with her, come close. I mean, she would win 400 electoral votes. She's over 50% in her popularity among Republicans. And they certainly need to bring that down. So the best thing you do is you bring up a scandal that also maybe hinders Obama a little bit, but has really the best part of the whole thing is that you try to hurt Hillary. And we've learned with these guys, if they scream loud enough about something that's stupid, like Solyndra being an example, that makes no sense and isn't really a scandal, they do it often enough in their little echo chamber, it becomes a scandal, even if it isn't to anybody else. And so at least they can get Republicans to stop liking her then.
Right. I see. Okay. That makes sense.
So there is, here's the thing. I think Benghazi is Libyan for Arkansas land deal.
Right.
That is what you're seeing here. And so that's what's going on. And so, the things they've brought up so far outside of their little universe of it's just true because we say it's true and we hate you. I mean, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has said they could not have gotten military people there in time to Benghazi to help it. They could have gotten them maybe for medical treatment after it occurred, even though I don't think that would have helped much at that point. But they were 650 miles away in Tripoli, and they were expecting an attack there. And they had to make a decision. And that decision was to protect the base there. Now, there may be this diplomat that they've invited who's supposedly the whistleblower who's come to a different conclusion. And granted, this is a man who was in Benghazi, and a lot of people have been killed and hurt, and he's upset about it. And his conclusion may be that they should have sent people anyhow. But in the end, if you're making military decisions, would you trust more the Joint Chiefs of Staff or this guy who's upset about what happened? I'm not belittling his pain. I'm just saying that the Republicans are using him to try to make it like he's some whistleblower, like he knows more than the Joint Chiefs of Staff knows on this. He doesn't. And so, and then in the end, there's there wasn't enough security. Well, geez, I'm trying to remember, Sam. Can you help me? Who was it that cut the funding for security as part of the overall mission to cut any and all funds that don't have anything to do with giving money to defense contractors? I'm trying to think. Who is it who would have cut that?
Right.
That was right. It was the Republicans in 2010. So in their Congress. So I mean, what to say about this? It's a terrible tragedy. It's one that you'd like to think that there are actual lessons here. Mistakes were certainly made by people. The State Department has been held accountable. Hillary Clinton, unlike the Bush administration, created a no-strings-attached independent report of their performance, which came out and criticized them, as it should have been. There should have been more security there. And they're probably culpable to some degree for that, even though I'd argue the Republicans for, cutting that stuff called money that provides security are more responsible for it. It's not that, but in the end, we could get to the bottom of this, and she's tried to, but our opposition party in this country is a group of jokers and cranks. So we're not going to get to the bottom of what happened. And again, I really would like to see them put this kind of an effort ever, because I don't think it's ever going to go away for me, to what happened on 9/11, which they haven't.
Right.
Because frankly, all you have to do is read the op-ed written in September of last year by Kurt Eichenwald, who wrote a book on this, about not just the Bin Laden determined to attack in the U.S. memo that George Bush promptly ignored, went off to the ranch to clear brush and talk about stem cells while Al-Qaeda was planning to kill 3,000 people here.
You've covered your ass, I think is what he said now to the guy who delivered that. All right, you've covered your ass now.
But he said what? I'm sorry?
He said you've covered your ass. That
right,
was
you've covered your ass is what he said to what's his name, the head of this Tenet, head of the CIA. In addition to that, there were 13 different attacks on embassies during the Bush tenure. In fact, multiple attacks in some locations, Karachi, Jeddah, and others, where it seems they did nothing to up their security, and more Americans were killed. Funny, Republicans never really screamed and yelled about that, never looked into that.
All right,
so
I mean, look,
9/11 gets ignored. Why we went into Iraq gets ignored. These other embassy attacks get ignored, but this is a huge scandal.
Yeah, I mean that your point about Hillary. Because look, the Alternate did a top 7 conspiracy theories by the Republicans. The UN arms treaty and U.S. sovereignty, that the misreading of a UN proclamation about basically the gun armament sales as somehow allowing the blue helmets to come in and take your guns. The idea that there are communists in the White House leadership, I guess also Muslim Brotherhood in the White House leadership, and particularly
Louis Gohmert, he had a lot of evidence on that too.
Right, particularly emanating out of Hillary Clinton's office. Then there's Glenn Beck's. I guess to a certain extent, I'm starting to see a pattern, even as I say this on some level. Glenn Beck talking about how the third Saudi, there was some Saudi. I don't even have the energy.
Was he also the 25th attacker on 9/11?
Right. Who
I feel like he was also the guy at the grassy knoll. He's this guy that just sort of travels through history.
Right. I think he's
present at everything bad that ever happens.
And my understanding
over Sirhan's left shoulder too.
He's a SAG actor too. That's the weird part about it. And then the government is stockpiling ammunition. That one is big. And then of course Agenda 21. But the ones that seem to get the most play, and I think your point is well taken, are the ones that they think they're going to be able to use in the future, and that is Clinton. So what we're going to hear is...
And there's one other thing, let me just jump in quickly, and then which I think is why this is also so popular, is remember good old John McCain called his friends, as he would call them, my friends, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul wacko birds. I don't know what that means really, but it was meant as an insult. It's kind of like trollop. One of those things that John McCain comes up with and we're all impressed by. But this is something, when it comes to this Benghazi thing, that unites all of them. So it pulls the neocons, the Lindsey Graham McCain faction onto the same page. as the sort of more paleocon teabagger Ted Cruz. So it unites them, kind of like communism did. It's fun. So I think I wouldn't discount that as a strong reason.
Well,
why
when it came up prior to the election, my feeling was this is a great way for them to try and attack the president without seeming as racist and as or misogynistic or as all their other attacks. But I guess it's getting more legs now, even though President Obama sort of slam dunked it on Mitt Romney's head. Because of the Clinton thing. So essentially the answer to Benghazi is just another way of saying we need to dig back into Travelgate.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Travelgate. That was awesome.
Yeah. Remember those days, buddy?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, and I think that's part of the frustration too on the right.
What are they saying though? I still can't. They're saying, okay, it's not just that mistakes were made by according to them, that the military didn't have the balls to go in there with 7 guys, not knowing what was actually happening for sure on the ground, and put those extra lives at risk. They didn't have the balls to do that. But what are they saying? That Hillary Clinton, what was the agenda here that they are projecting onto Clinton? Like she really wanted this she wanted this to happen. That's the part that's sort of
here's
weird.
The agenda that they've set. What their reasoning is, and I use that term loosely, is that President Obama, because he was running on being strong on terrorism, killing Osama bin Laden, which frankly that group of wimps never could figure out how to do, that he didn't want anybody to know that this was Al-Qaeda and terrorism, which he only said like the next day, which Mitt Romney learned in that debate, that it was terrorism. But it's part of that whole thing, which is he wanted to cover it up because if people knew Al-Qaeda had launched a successful attack, then it would undermine his reelection and undermine Hillary's future chances, because they wouldn't be able to then use that picture where they're sitting in the room as the raid happens on bin Laden and say they were successful in stopping Al-Qaeda.
Right.
That's the conspiracy theory of why they covered it up. And frankly, when they could have stopped it, actually allowed people to die. And in it, I read a piece somewhere, and I can't remember where it was, but in there, that's kind of the whole reason why this thing isn't catching on and is failing. Because to believe what they're saying, you really have to believe that President Obama and Hillary Clinton are truly awful, terrible people.
But
most people don't believe.
Doesn't that cut against each other? I mean, if they could have sent in a force to quash those people, wouldn't that have made them doubly as strong? So why would you not? That's the problem with this. It's the most convoluted thing. Now, here's the other question I have for you.
Right. Well,
why the frick is anybody paying attention to this? I mean, we've got to round it out, but I waited the whole week just hoping this thing would just go away. But every time, and I haven't been watching much TV as of late, but it seems to have just dominated. The Times send people down there. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, it is when you realize everything else going on out there. And you realize that, again, not to go too much back to what I talk about quite often, but these guys en masse just voted to allow terrorists to have easy access to guns anywhere in the United States.
Well, that's what our founding fathers wanted.
I'm sorry?
That's what our founding fathers wanted, and if you have a problem with them, then that's your problem.
That's true. That's true. They were genius, and how dare I question? But when these guys literally just bent over backwards to do the bidding of an agency that basically lobbies for domestic terrorists in the NRA, and any terrorist really who wants to get their hands on a gun, or something worse, because again we couldn't trace where those explosives came from in Boston immediately because there were no taggants in them, because right after Oklahoma City, when President Bill Clinton tried to get that legislation passed, the NRA and their friends blocked it. So on one end, they're the weakest people in the world, and they for a special interest group, they'll allow us to get blown up and shot. But suddenly what happened in Benghazi was a tragedy because, I don't know. And again, what you point out, it's convoluted, it makes no sense, but there's really, when you think out what they say all the time, does it ever make any sense? It's just, if they yell Benghazi loud enough and they put it on, if it shows up on Breitbart.com, kind of like Friends of Hamas, and it shows up on Fox News day in and day out, they just create the appearance of impropriety so that eventually down the road they can throw Benghazi at Hillary and all of their own people
sort of in lockstep fashion, like they're in like a Clockwork Orange with their eyes like close-pinned open, will just sort of nod their heads and say, yes, Benghazi, she must be terrible. And they won't really know what that means and what happened, but it becomes a buzzword like the other buzzwords they use.
Right, and I guess to a certain extent, this is also, in some respects, about 2014. There was a study that came out. I guess it just came out. It's going to be published, I guess, in June, as part of a book entitled "Change They Can't Believe In: The Tea Party and Reactionary Politics in America." And I guess this professor from the University of Washington, Christopher Parker, and I haven't had a chance to dig into these, but listen to these stats. Again, take it as a grain of salt. This is from a press release, so I haven't had to read the book yet, but I'm in no way surprised by this, and it echoes other studies we've seen in a surveying. I guess 1,500 adults across the country in January and March through March of 2011. This is what Tea Party supporters said. Is President Obama destroying the country? 76% of Tea Party supporters say yes. This is they say 6% of all other conservatives say yes. Now, I don't know what that means really insofar as, I don't know that there's much daylight between that. I would imagine 6% of all other conservatives represents about 3 people. Do you want President Obama's policies to fail? 76% of Tea Parties, yes. Are President Obama's policies socialist? 75% of Tea Partiers. I mean, it goes on and on. This is who the Republican base is. And if they can bring them Benghazi, this is actually a motivating factor for them to vote in some fashion. I don't know. It just seems...
Well, yeah, because that's what gets them to vote. Based on, I think you were sent over to me this piece on Tea Party and the revival of paranoia.
Right.
And this is something, when I was doing some PhD studies, in history, which I never wrote my dissertation, so I'm sure my professor out there still hates me.
Wow. Well, excuse us. Excuse us, Professor.
I'm clearly a dick. But the thing is a lot of what I did centered on this fantastic that I would recommend, and I've done this before in your show, that everybody read if you want to understand the right today. This article that turned into a book by a great historian named Richard Hofstadter called "The Paranoid Style in American Politics," and he wrote it in 1964. And he talks about the McCarthyites and the Birchers and the ways he describes them, their breathless conspiracy theories and their paranoia that Eisenhower was a communist and George Marshall was a communist and all these kinds of stuff. You'll see, if you look back through American history from the know-nothings to all the anti-immigration, anti-Catholic movements and things like that, you'll see all this stuff. It's not like this is new, right? This is a common thread. It's existed before, as he pointed out in his book, on the far left before, but mostly it's something that's on the far right. You can go back as early as like anti-Masonic movements that the Masons were going to take over the country in the 18th century. And he writes, seriously, you could not learn more than by reading this. He even goes into the fact that the neoconservatives, how dangerous they were because they were starting to move over to the right back then because, there's nothing with the zeal of a convert. He covers basically everyone, and then, of course, the evangelical sort of propensity for grabbing conspiracy and superstition. And he covers everything that really kind of today makes up what we're talking about. And so the Tea Party is the tip of that spear. They are sort of it's all over the Republican Party. You probably saw it. What was the thing that came out of the poll 2 weeks ago, whenever, that said that up to 44% of Republicans thought that armed rebellion might be necessary? Here's what we're talking about. So Benghazi is a unifying force. It brings brings the evangelicals together with the neocons, together with other of their crazy groups, unites them all in a hatred for the left, and turns them out of fear and gets them to give money to groups like the NRA and Grover Norquist's group and other groups. And this is sort of, and frankly, to listen to Rush Limbaugh and people like that they all gain from this.